You've probably taken steps to secure your assets, but what if there's a hidden vulnerability in your estate plan? Stick around, because today we're revealing something that could make all the difference in how your legacy is handled. Hi folks, and welcome back to Everything Estate Planning. I'm Jim, and today we're exploring a topic that often gets overlooked, but plays an important role in ensuring your wishes are carried out after you're gone: beneficiary designations. Whether you're laying the foundation for your estate plan or fine-tuning the details, understanding beneficiary designation is key to safeguarding your legacy. Let's take a look at what we'll be covering in today's episode. First, we'll cover what a beneficiary designation is. Then we'll explore why beneficiary designations are an important part of your estate plan. We'll examine some common assets that allow for beneficiary designations. Next, we'll explore how these designations interact with your will. We'll also discuss what happens if you don't nominate a beneficiary. After that, we'll touch on the importance of keeping beneficiary designations up to date. And finally, we'll cover special considerations for minor beneficiaries. As always, if you're actually looking for something specific, we've included timestamps to help you jump straight to any section you want to watch. So what exactly are beneficiary designations? In simple terms, beneficiary designations let you decide who gets specific assets like your life insurance or pension after you're gone. By nominating a beneficiary, you make sure these assets go directly to the people you've chosen. Why is this important? Because without a beneficiary, these assets might go through something called probate. Probate in the United Kingdom is the legal process that happens when someone passes away, to ensure their estate is distributed according to their will, or if there is no will, according to the law. It involves confirming the will's validity, if there is one, and granting permission, called a grant of probate, to the executors named in the will to manage that particular estate. If there's no will, an administrator is appointed by the courts to handle the estate instead. Essentially, probate ensures that everything is settled correctly after someone passes away. Unfortunately, this process is time-consuming, can be expensive and complicated, often delaying when your loved ones receive what you intended for them. By utilizing beneficiary designations for certain assets, you can avoid probate for those assets. That means your loved ones can access them faster with less hassle and expense. However, beneficiary designations only apply to certain types of assets, like life insurance or pensions, because these are managed by companies that allow you to name someone to receive the funds directly. For everything else, like property or personal items, a last will and testament is still essential to make sure your wishes are followed. Let's take a look at some of the assets that allow for beneficiary designations here in the United Kingdom. First of all, life insurance policies often allow you to name one or more beneficiaries who will receive the payout directly after your passing. Next, we have UK pension schemes. These include workplace pensions, personal pensions, and self-invested personal pensions, which usually allow you to nominate a beneficiary for any remaining pension funds. If you have a death in service coverage through your employer, you can nominate a beneficiary to receive a lump sum payment if you pass away whilst still employed. Some investment accounts, like certain individual savings accounts, also known as ISAs, may allow for beneficiary nominations. For example, if you have a transferable ISA allowance or a special type of ISA that allows a spouse or civil partner to inherit the account. While not as common, some UK banks may allow you to nominate a beneficiary for specific types of accounts. This feature is less widespread and often depends on the bank's policies. Finally, if you have assets held in a trust, you can designate beneficiaries to receive those assets after your passing, according to the terms of the trust agreement. If you want to know more about how trusts can protect your assets and ensure a smooth transfer of inheritance, we've included a link to our dedicated video on trusts in the description below. Let's take a look at how beneficiary designations interact with your will. Here's a key point to remember. Beneficiary designations usually take priority over what's written in your will. This means that even if your will says an asset should go to one person, a different person listed as a designated beneficiary on that asset generally takes precedence. Here's how to make sure your will and beneficiary designations work well together. First of all, understand the priority. Beneficiary designations on assets like life insurance or certain investment accounts will override what's in your last will and testament. If your designations and will don't match, the beneficiary designation typically wins. Secondly, review regularly. Go through all your financial accounts and insurance policies to see where you named beneficiaries. Make sure they reflect your current wishes, especially if your circumstances have changed, like after a marriage, divorce, or the birth of a child. Third, update when needed. Whenever your life situation changes, update both your will and beneficiary designations to keep them aligned. This prevents conflicts and ensures your assets go where you want them. Fourth, coordinate with your estate plan. Work with a solicitor or estate planner to ensure your will and beneficiary designations are consistent and form a cohesive estate plan. Finally, keep your documents secure. Store your beneficiary designations and will together so your executors can easily carry out your wishes. So, what happens if you don't name a beneficiary? If you don't name a beneficiary, or if the one you choose has already passed away, that asset typically becomes part of your estate. The asset will then be distributed according to the instructions in your last will and testament. If you don't have a will, the asset will be distributed based on the rules of intestacy. Now, if you want to know more about these rules, feel free to check out our earlier video on last will and testaments. We've left a link for that video in the descriptions below. Now, when an asset becomes part of your estate, it may need to go through probate, which can delay the transfer to your loved ones and increase costs. One of the most common mistakes is setting a beneficiary designation and then forgetting about it. Life changes, like marriages, divorce, births, and deaths. All of these can mean that you need to update those designations. If you don't, your assets might end up going to someone you no longer intend to benefit. For example, if you named your ex-spouse as the beneficiary of your life insurance, but never updated it after your divorce, that person could still receive the payout, even if you meant it to go to your children or current spouse. Updating a beneficiary designation is usually straightforward. For life insurance policies and pension plans, reach out to your provider to complete the required forms. For banks and investment accounts, check with your financial institution to see if a beneficiary can be added. Make sure all forms are filled out accurately and submitted properly to avoid any issues later. Keeping your beneficiary designations up to date helps ensure your assets go where you want them to go, preventing any surprises for your loved ones. A note about naming minors as beneficiaries. In the United Kingdom, minors cannot legally control assets until they're 18. So if you name a child as a beneficiary, it's important to plan ahead to ensure the assets are managed properly until they're old enough to take control. One of the best ways to do this is by setting up a trust. A trust allows you to appoint a trustee, someone you trust to manage the assets on the child's behalf. This way, the funds can be used in their best interest, like covering education costs, living costs, or other essential expenses as they grow up. Without a trust, the money could end up being held by the court until the child turns 18. at which point they will receive the full amount in a lump sum. For many parents, this is a concern because an 18-year-old may not yet have the maturity to handle a significant inheritance all at once. Here's how a trust can help. With a trust, you can set rules for how and when the money is distributed. For example, you might arrange for certain amounts to be released at key milestones like starting university or reaching a certain age, rather than kind of handing it all over at once. Next, the trustee you choose can ensure the funds are protected and used wisely, making sure the child's long-term needs are taken care of. Trusts also offer flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances. If the child needs more support for education or medical needs, the trustees can make decisions in their best interest. Essentially, by setting up a trust, you can have peace of mind knowing that your child's inheritance is being managed responsibly until they're ready to handle it on their own. As mentioned earlier, for more in-depth information on trust arrangements and how they can help protect your assets for your loved ones, we've made a dedicated video on the topic. You can find the link to it in the video description below. And there you have it. Beneficiary designations are an important part of your estate plan, but they need careful attention to ensure everything works smoothly. By regularly reviewing and updating your designations, coordinating them with your will, and considering special circumstances like minor beneficiaries, you can make sure your assets are passed on just as you intended. Whether you're just starting your estate planning journey or refining the details, please don't overlook this crucial step. Taking a little time now can make a big difference for your loved ones in the future. Thanks for spending some of your time with us today. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you even more useful content. If you found this video helpful, please give that like button a friendly handshake, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss our future content. Join us in the next episode where we'll learn about letters of intent and how they can help clarify your wishes and provide guidance for your loved ones. Remember, a little planning today can make a big difference tomorrow. So until next time then, stay safe, stay informed, and stay tuned.